Member for Gagetown, Petitcodiac.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My questions are for the Minister of Energy and Resource Development. In Volume 2 of the Auditor General's 2015 report, item 4.124 says, "We recommend the Department establish goals and objectives for the private land silviculture program to measure the benefits of the program to the province." Private silviculture RDC funding was cut in 2016-2017. The program went from $1 million in 2014 to zero. Has the minister put the recommendations in place, or was the answer to axe the funding to the program?
The Honourable Minister of Energy and Resource Development.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'd like to thank the member opposite for the question. And Mr. Speaker, he's been bringing forward some good questions. And the fact of the matter is, remind everybody in the House, remind everybody in New Brunswick, this is how we pay for things, Mr. Speaker. The forestry sector, the agriculture sector, and the fishery sector, the pillars of our economy. Very strong, Mr. Speaker. So it's really good to talk about this, Mr. Speaker. Job creation, economic growth are priorities of our government, and it's good to be talking about that. And that's a very important question that the member opposite brought forward about the silviculture budget. Mr. Speaker, the silviculture budget, we'll be working on that, and I'm sure that we'll have the opportunity to talk to that when we get to the estimate stage, Mr. Speaker. But the fact of the matter is, we have 22,000 people that are boots in the grounds in the woods, Mr. Speaker. They're part of the economic fabric, what makes up the province of New Brunswick, Mr. Speaker. And it's great that we have a very vibrant forestry industry, very vibrant forestry sector. Very great that we have some very good operators in the province that stretch the fibre as far as they can go.
I'm member for Gagetown, Petitcodiac.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I'm certainly concerned about the 40,000+ private woodlot owners. I'm going to keep asking questions about the same volume. In Chapter 3, Item 3.118 recommends the Department continue silviculture monitoring. Funding decreased for planning and monitoring silviculture on Crown and private lands. In 2014, the funding was $559,000. This year, the budget was $130,000. This budget has been slashed. Could the minister please tell us what is the status of this recommendation?
The Honourable Minister of Resource Development.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And like I say, it's good to get some questions on the floor of the House of some of our vibrant industries, the industries that are helping pay for roads, for schools and hospitals, Mr. Speaker. Very important part of our fabric. Mr. Speaker, the marketing boards process wood sale transactions and deliver the Department of Energy and Resource Development private woodlot silviculture program. And Mr. Speaker, we'll continue to work to try to find efficiencies and work with the woodlot owners as how we can do things better, Mr. Speaker. We'll continue down that road, and I'm sure that we're going to have a great conversation when we get to the estimate stage, Mr. Speaker. And I know the member opposite would like to keep on bringing up the volume that's been put forward by the Auditor General, but Mr. Speaker, we're all working on that, Mr. Speaker. But fact is, some of the good things that are happening, I got mentioned a few moments ago that the forestry sector is one of the industries that's paying and helping pay the way in the province. But we've got some good things that are happening, Mr. Speaker. We have challenges in front of us, but we also have some great opportunities. Look at the CETA program that's in front of us, that was just ratified yesterday, Mr. Speaker.
Minister, member for Gagetown, Petitcodiac.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Item 3.132 recommends verifying information that is self-reported by licensees for accuracy. Can the minister give me the status of this recommendation? Would this not also fall under the decreased planning and monitoring budget?
Honourable Minister of Energy and Resource Development.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And it's, like I say, it's always good to get questions with respect to some of our prime industries in the province, Mr. Speaker. But I started to talk about CETA, what it means for this province, the opportunities. And I mentioned about we have some tremendous challenges in front of us, but even better, Mr. Speaker, the opportunities. Like I just mentioned a few moments ago about CETA. So many of the tariffs that will be dropped, so many opportunities for us. The fish and the seafood sector, Mr. Speaker. Some of the tariffs are going to be flatlined. So what an opportunity as we stretch across the arc. We call it the arc right across us, Mr. Speaker, right across the ocean, not very far from us. What are the opportunities in the forestry sector, Mr. Speaker, as they start to develop new products, new resources, and new technologies that they can stretch the fibre to further, Mr. Speaker? I'm very proud of the industries that we have in this province, and Mr. Speaker, some of the significant investments that the forestry sector has brought forward. It is vibrant.